Alice?
Thank God, can you hear me?
Are you okay?
Daniel knows.
Alice?
Alice has been on her own for more than 30 hours. Why does she call you? A couple of feds out of their natural habitat?
Daniel Bailey. You work with Alice?
She's a very highly regarded member of our team.
No mobile phones. You need a social media free weekend, ladies.
Hello, my name is Michael Morley, and I am here to review Force of Nature, The Dry 2. Directed by Robert Connolly, based on the novel by Jane Harper, starring Eric Bana, Deborah Lee Furness, and Richard Roxburgh. This is a sequel to the first movie, The Dry, that was also based on the novel by Jane Harper. This is a sequel based on the investigator Aaron Falk, played by Eric Bana. He's like an Australian version of Sherlock Holmes. He investigates murders, he investigates the culprits, the victims, and he locates and goes around the locations, basically investigating the areas and tries to, from A to Z, what's going on, who did it. It's a whodunit. I have an absolute weakness for these sort of movies. If you're into movies like Knives Out, Clue, Scream, this movie is a lot more tamer than those movies, not nearly as violent. It's definitely a family movie with some good Australian acting. You may know Eric Bana. He is my hero. He is absolutely phenomenal. He is an Australian treasure, and he is great in this movie. He's just so natural and grounded. Not like over the top. He's just natural. He always has. Deborah Lee Furness, she's an Australian great. Back in the day, she was one of the biggest actresses in Australia. She had a lot of movies. Now she's mainly known as Hugh Jackman's wife, or should I say ex. There was a time when in the 80s and the 90s, in the 70s, she was like one of the biggest Australian actresses around. Richard Roxburgh, who is an actor that you would know from lots of Australian movies, also played Dracula in Van Helsing. He is got a very good little supporting role, very narky arsehole sort of character. This movie is about them out in the woods, out in the riverside. Someone goes missing. A bunch of girls that are going on like a retreat. They're going on a retreat. They have to get rid of their phones because obviously they're not going to have any reception out in the woods. They get abandoned into an abandoned cabin. And I'm like, oh man, this is going to be like Wolf Creek. I haven't read the novels, haven't read the book, so I didn't realize it was going to be as tame and as not as violent as I thought it would be. I will say it's a good film. I just found the turnout of who the killer was to be not what I expected. Not terrible, just I was a bit underwhelmed because in the first one, the killer was a lot more compelling and a lot more interesting, where he went in and basically shot and killed a whole family for revenge, where in this one, without getting into spoilers, it felt more like a misunderstanding and something that just happened. It was very unintentional, and that's all I'm going to say. Other than that, I have to stop. Like, you know, when people go in with certain expectations at the door and they expect that it's an Australian movie set in the riverside in the woods, you're kind of expecting it to be like a Wolf Creek. Well, it's not like that at all. This movie is like a PG version of a whodunit, and you know, it's still a good film. Don't get me wrong, it's good. It's just not what I expected, and I'll watch it again and I'll appreciate it for what it is. 7 out of 10.
None of you have been honest with me about what happened out there.
Why are you really here?
Out there. Nature holds us all to account.